born blind. Many in that time would accuse his parents of some sin because now he's blind. Of course, we don't believe that nonsense anymore. I hope we don't. Here he is, not working, sitting on the side of the road with his hand out for alms, day after day. So he was able to hear everything. Now, if you know that many people who are blind, it seems like their hearing is even better. So he was able to hear the news and what was going on in the local town. And then he heard people talking about this Jesus, that he was coming to their town. And then he heard more, that there was a possibility of a cure. He's cured other people, maybe he can even cure me. Bartimaeus was thinking. And so when Jesus does come, what happens? We hear he shouted out. And then Jesus called him. And he said to him, "What do you want me to do for you?" He didn't ask for millions of dollars. He didn't ask for a house to live in. He simply said, "Rabbi, I want to see. I want to see." Powerful words when you stop and think about it. How many of us have said that? Problems come up in our family. And there's difficulties. How many of us have asked the Lord, say, "Lord, I need to see an answer to this. I'm seeking an answer." We have to open our eyes, my brothers and sisters, and open our hearts to hear that voice. Now, Bartimaeus didn't just open his eyes, because I had his eyes open, but what he did was he followed Jesus. He tossed aside his cloak and followed Jesus. How many of us follow Jesus? Question we have to ask ourselves. Because you look at your life and you see there's been wonderful things. Look at your life. Really look at it. With open eyes. Not with blinders, with open eyes. Look how you've been blessed with your children, with your spouse, with so many wonderful things. Look around you. You live in one of the most beautiful states in the country. Look how God has blessed this place. Yesterday, the second synod came to an end that Pope Francis had. These were over 250 bishops and some cardinals. We spent 3 weeks trying to iron out some family problems, real family problems. One of the biggest problems that they had to deal with was this whole thing of those who've been divorced, have remarried without annulment. How can they receive communion? And they're going on and all over the place with this. Well, Pope Francis had a few words to say to them yesterday. I want to read to you a few of his lines. This is what he said to the bishops, cardinals. He concluded the synod with remarks that spoke eloquently about the journey the bishops had traveled in their days together, and emphasized anew his call for prelates to refrain from being doctors of the law. That's Pope Francis. The synod experience, Francis said, made us better realize that the true defenders of doctrine are not those who uphold its letter, but its spirit. Not ideas, but people. Not formulas, but the gratuitousness of God's love and forgiveness. And he went on to say, there is no way to detract from the importance of formula, laws, or divine commandments, but rather to exalt the greatness of a true God who does not treat us according to the merits of even our works, but solely according to the boundless generosity of his mercy. Words of wisdom. He spoke to them so they would open their eyes And to see they're not just dealing with words or laws, where they're crossing the T's and dotting the I's like the Pharisees. He wanted them to see beyond that. We look beyond the law, and we see those people who were suffering so much because they had to go through some divorce. And now they need, since they've been separated, they need nourishment. Spiritual nourishment. And I think what Pope Francis is trying to say to all these bishops, hey, let them come to the table. We are a merciful church. We are a loving church. We open our arms to receive everyone. Let them come. And maybe there's going to be a possibility of that. More so than there would have been years ago. Because this man has eyes of Christ in him. He sees people, this Pope. But he sees more than just people. He sees human beings. He sees people who are suffering. He sees people who are going through difficulties in their own life. And he reaches out to them. He reaches constantly out to them. We saw that when he was here in this country last month. You know, there's something else about Bartimaeus. He was determined to get to Jesus. Determination is what separates the winners from the losers. No, just look what happened in the National League this past week. Determination. The team went 4 straight games. They were determined to win, even though it's been 15 years. Of course, the other team's been, what, over 100. But the thing is, determination gets you from point A to point B. And it's the same thing in our own lives. You know, a simple thing of fixing a bicycle or fixing something in the garage that you got to get this done. If you're determined, you get it done. You don't let it sit there and collect dust. The same thing with your own personal life, with your family. If there's problems, you've got to open your eyes and see those problems and find solutions. But you've got to be determined to do that, like Bartimaeus was. And hopefully our bishops will have some determination to rectify and do things that need to be done so that people come back to the church and are nourished, not just with the body and blood of Christ, but with people like yourselves who reach out and lift them up and encourage them, who walk that journey with them. That's what we need. We can't be strict and, as I said before, like the Pharisees who said, oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. No! That's not what we're about. We're called to be a merciful church. And that's the theme that Pope Francis continually has, mercy. And he starts a year of mercy beginning in December 8th of this year. And people who have abortions are going to be able to come to any priest and receive absolution. Anyone. What a wonderful thing. Why do we shove people aside because they've committed some sin? Look what happened on the cross. Jesus is crucified. He's there between 2 thieves. One thief, but couldn't care less. The other one, what does he say? Lord, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Because he was sorry for what he did. He was looking for mercy, and he received it. We don't give up on ourselves. We don't give up on one another. We work together. Like the bishops have to work together to make it a better and stronger church. A church that is merciful and understands problems and not shut them out. We have to open our eyes to see the goodness that's in each and every one of us. Whether it's at work, in school, wherever it may be. The challenge is there. But are we ready to accept that challenge? Are we ready to grab a hold of that? And are determined to have a better church, a better home, a better family? I pray to God we are. because we open our eyes to see the goodness and the love that's there.